Good Monday morning. I start at the beginning of the year doing a little personal video every Monday, just kind of a hopefully informational, inspirational, devotional kind of thing. And every once in a while I forget. So I think it's been a couple of weeks. Some things have gone on. And so I'm back today. Actually, something happened that prompted this. And I want to be very sensitive to how I present this. In fact, I'll be candid before I send this out. I'm going to send it to my kids and get their permission to do this. We had a baseball game yesterday. It was the Rutherford County Middle School Baseball Tournament. John Michael's been playing with his team. He's done well. He's a good little player. He actually plays up. That means they have invited him to play. He plays junior varsity, but they've invited him to play on the varsity, and so he plays cross. But this was the junior varsity tournament, and they won a game, and now they're playing in another game and against a really good team. And close game, got right down to the very end. We struggled a little bit on the mound. The bases were loaded, but there were 2 outs. And we're up by a run, so we need 1 out to win the game and advance in the tournament. If we don't win the game, we are out of the tournament. And a fly ball was hit to John Michael in right field, and he missed it. And it was hard. It was hard. If he catches it, he's the hero of the day. If he doesn't catch it, he's the GOAT. And his heart was broken. Our hearts were broken for him, and it's just a hard thing. He's going to be fine. He's a good player. He'll bounce back. But it just made me think about failures and what happens when we miss the ball. Most of you know that my whole second career has been built on overcoming failure. I wrote a book called Failure and How I Achieved It. But I thought, we've never really talked about just what you do, specifically, how do you overcome failure? How do you move past that? How do you make yourself bigger than that event and not be defined by that particular thing? So there are 5 things that came to my mind last night and this morning as I was thinking about this. 5 things I want to share very quickly about how. We all know that you should, but how? These are the 5 steps that I think that you take to get past your failure. Number 1, you take personal responsibility. As long as you're playing the blame game, you're stuck right where you are, and you never have a chance to move forward. So you take personal responsibility. This is mine. There were lots of other errors in the game. Lots of other things could have happened so that it doesn't get down to this 1 out, but that doesn't matter. John Michael had a chance. He missed the ball. You take personal responsibility, and he's done that. I'm proud of him for doing that. But take personal responsibility for your failure. Number 2, you give yourself time to grieve. It's not healthy or not even appropriate to say, okay, I'm just going to go over this and move on. No, you need to give yourself time to grieve. His coach called him after the game and I thought, just great. He said, Courtney, you got 1 hour. You can be mad, you can be sad, you can be upset for 1 hour, and then you move past that. I need you to play, be a good player, so you got 1 hour and then you get over it. A bigger failure probably takes a little more time. Some of us have had massive failures that took a long period of time, but there is a finite period of time. You move past it. You get over it. You don't hold on to that forever. Number 3, you focus on the bigger picture. No matter how severe your failure, it is not the end of the world. It is in the grand scheme of things. The world's been around for 5 billion years. In the grand scheme of things, your particular failure is not that massive. So you put it in the context of the bigger picture. God is still on the throne. God is still good. God is still doing good things. And you make sure you see this failure in light of all that is happening around you. I, in my own failure, learned to live in the Psalms and see the goodness of God in the Psalms, and it began to put my failure in perspective. Number 4, you dedicate yourself to getting better. You make this a learning opportunity. You make it a growth event. You improve. And so you say, I'm going to take this, my statement was, I'm going to get well or die. I am going to take this and spend the rest of my life learning from it and getting better in it. So you dedicate yourself to getting better. And then here's the fifth thing, and maybe the most important. You be willing to allow God to use your failure for the good of others. You let him use it. And part of that means that you have to tell your story. You have to be open about it. You have to be transparent. In the 12 steps, we say every time you tell your story, your shame is cut in half. So you use that story. Hey, once I was this, and then I fell, and now I'm this. You use that. And when you do, I promise you that you will not only get over your failure, but you'll look at it and say, that's one of the best things that ever happened to me. God has used that for my good and for his glory, and I'm glad for that. Well, I don't know if you have failures in your life. My guess is if you've lived very long at all, you do. But I will tell you this, you can get over them, and God can do something great with it. Have a great week. God bless you. Thanks for listening to my rambling today.